Greetings, groovy people. Welcome to this week's Earth Day special, Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. Very uninspired title. Welcome to the channel. I'm the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon. I'm not going to be talking about my webcomic this week, my free, not safe for work webcomic, but this video is still targeting an adult audience that wants to try to find ways to help reduce their waste. Just giving you a couple ideas. So I'm going to kind of go through and basically give you a breakdown of some of the things that I do because I'm, one, cheap, or frugal is the nice way of putting it, but also I am trying to be more environmentally conscious. I am not zero waste, but I would like to, as much as possible, get close to that, because one of the best ways to reduce your waste is to produce as little as possible. So when I talk about reduction, I personally do not buy plastic bottles. I used to drink a ton of soda and it had some effects on me. I've never really been unhealthy. Well, not since I was a little kid. I caught everything that came around when I was a kid. But thankfully as an adult, I haven't really been unhealthy, but I am certainly overweight. But not nearly as much as I was when I was drinking a Mountain Dew a day, and the bottles, the plastic waste is awful. So one of the things I've done is just completely cut that out. I do still like a treat every now and then, and not everyone's gonna want to cut soda out of their diet, but because I am cheap, I will only buy a Coke, and usually I'll drink one on my own, and we'll have it on like either Thursday or Friday. Sometimes we go a little overboard and buy some more, but usually we'll either buy one of these and split it because it's bigger and bulk is cheaper. But the glass bottles are recyclable. I clean them out. You can see I wash them out. But occasionally you do buy bottles of water, and if you want some ideas on how to reuse it rather than recycling it, I'm gonna put up in a link some information about recycling. Most of the stuff that we recycle, because it's not properly cleaned and it's all kind of thrown together, it doesn't actually even get recycled. So nothing is ever as easy as one thinks, and we kind of take it for granted because our lives are so busy. But one of the great ways to just avoid that waste is to do just that, avoid it. But I reuse it. I had a water bottle, so I cut this and I use this for my gouache. Or sometimes you can see some colored inks. I will use this for my colored inks, but I reuse this over and over again. I have plastic cups that I got from some events. I keep my pens that I use, like my Copic pens. And yes, I have a billion ballpoint pens that if I was thinking, I was just not thinking. I used to buy these all the time. But yeah, I'm going to try to find a way to recycle these. I'll put some more resources down below, but try not to buy plastic. And when we do, I clean it out very carefully. I make sure it's dried. I also don't really buy paper towels anymore. I used to, but I've pretty much cut those out. But when I do use paper towels, I reuse these. These have got ink and paint and stuff on them. I will reuse them until I cannot anymore, and then I will get rid of them. But to prevent from creating more waste, I just don't buy that anymore. Instead, use hand towels, and these are washable. Obviously, it's just an old towel that was my partner's, and it was crummy looking and nasty. I was like, why don't we just use this for rags? Obviously, I don't wash this with my clothes, but every now and then I will wash this out, and that's a way to reduce your waste. Let's talk about reusing things. I use mechanical pencils because I like how sharp they get. Regular pencils are fine, but instead of buying more of these, they're mechanical, their purpose is to be refilled, so I buy refills. And you can buy these, although I've been trying to find a way. I buy reusable eraser here too, because sometimes I need detail. But I'm hard on everything, you guys, so I break this off quite often, and I will, if I need to get in there with like detail, you may see me in some of my videos when I'm sketching using these smaller ones that have broken off as opposed to this, because I want to reuse and I want to not waste as much as possible. If you ever have a question and you have the time, you can call your local recycle center and see if something's recyclable, because they don't all take every single type of plastic. And there's someone, I just called someone earlier today, even though people are being told to stay home, recycling is considered something that's mandatory to stay open. And so I called them, I got a hold of someone like right away, and they told me that I can recycle these pen nibs whenever I'm done with them. So just call if you have a question. They're really nice, at least people, I mean, I feel like everyone I've ever talked to at a recycle center is nice. I reused this plastic bag. I don't even know what it came with, but I have a kneaded eraser. These you can just keep adding to with more kneaded eraser, but obviously this doesn't produce much waste, and as it gets saturated with graphite or charcoal or whatever you're using, you can add more to it and just have like a massive ball. And you can just reuse this over and over and over again until it can't be used anymore. I have started buying bulk. I found this at a local store in St. Louis, but it's much bigger than this, and I'm gonna see if I like it as much. I know for a fact this one is vegan. I can only assume this is vegan also because it's not the hard bar. That's what, they put the animal product in to hold it together as like a glue. I think it's like gelatin or bone or something. But the liquid version, they don't need that to hold it. It's just like plant soot, usually like pine or something like that. But I'm gonna instead of throwing this away or recycling it whenever I'm done, I am going to wash it out and refill it with the bulk Sumi ink, and hopefully I like this kind of ink. I haven't tried it yet. If you have the money, obviously this is not like viable if you are dirt poor, like, usually I have been in the past. I mean, we're doing okay now, but like, man, it used to be bad. I could never afford this. This was like, I asked for this for Christmas and it was $40, but it is a fountain pen and it is reusable and refillable, and it's so easy to refill. And this is a glass container, so you can clean it out really well and recycle the glass container. I'm sure there are cheaper ones than this, but this was blue. Which is important, when it's a deciding factor on whether something is functional or not, the color. That is a joke. I'm not serious. I know, again, these are kind of more expensive options, but Copic markers are amazing because they are refillable and the nibs are replaceable. So those of you who've watched the videos in the past, I talk about how I only have a few Copics. I am very, very slowly growing my Copic numbers. I save for it, I budget for it, and my lovely patrons, my amazing patrons, you guys also are so helpful, because it's only through saving that I'm able to afford any Copics. But I buy them even though they're more expensive because they are refillable, and if you don't know how to refill them yourself, call some of your local art stores. Like a locally owned store in St. Louis, Art Mart, they refill them for people. You just leave them with them. If they're not busy, you can wander around the store. If they are busy, you could probably come and pick them up. But I asked them about it, and they will refill it for you so you don't have to hassle. I mean, I know the refills are kind of expensive too, and maybe in the long run it's more expensive to have them do it, but you can support a local business, and it's, you can do it yourself also if you want to save money. Even though it's more expensive to buy the refills, they have like a ton of refill in it, so it's cheaper in the long run. I do have some ink things that I bought, like this, but I quite often will just use something like this plate. We didn't need this plate, and rather than trying to find a place to recycle it, because ceramic can be hard to recycle sometimes, I just reuse it. I mix stuff on it. It works fine for me, for my purposes. Maybe more serious artists might not do that, but I also have been known to use like plastic like this. If I know I'm not going to be able to recycle it, then you can use it. You'll never be able to clean it enough probably to recycle it, but you can reuse it over and over and over. Scrap paper. These I use for everything. Grocery lists, list of things that I need to remember to do, my to-do list. My script for today, I will reuse these so many times. You can see these are my scripts for Dark Horse, but like I messed up on something, so I was like, oh, instead of throwing it away and recycling it immediately, I will use the other side first, and then I will recycle it. By the end of something's life cycle, if I have no other option, I will, of course, recycle it before I will throw it away. But when you recycle, like I was trying to talk about earlier, it really needs to be cleaned well and fully dried before it's put in with the other recycling. And in fact, if you are capable of doing so, it might be better to even take it there yourself, because you cannot control the level of understanding that other people have about recycling. So something that you carefully clean and throw in the recycle bin at your complex, or even in your house if you have your own bin that gets picked up by waste management or whatever, it's getting mixed in with other people's recyclables, and they may not have been as careful as you. So if you can, it might even be a good idea to just take it directly to the recycling center yourself. Maybe make a day trip of it, save up stuff so that you're not wasting gas. Heck, if somebody you know has a truck, maybe you can all go together if your friends and you all recycle too. Those are just a couple ideas, to get you thinking about Mother Earth on Earth Day. We abuse her, we drain her dry, and one of these days we're going to have to suffer the repercussions if we don't take responsibility for our own actions. And I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say that, well, the biggest carbon footprint is created by major industries, and governments need to be held accountable, and that is 100% true. But I'm fairly cynical. I'm not sure how much the government is actually going to hold those companies accountable. The only thing that I personally have control over are my own actions, and I know that money talks. So if one person boycotts and doesn't buy plastic and writes, they're not gonna give a shit. They don't care. It's one crazy person and a ton of other people who don't give a shit. But if 10,000 people are kind of on the same wavelength, particularly those of us, Word of Wednesday privilege, those of us who have privilege enough to take action. There are people who have got so much going on in their life that they, honest to God, can't do it or won't be able to do it. But someone like me, I feel that I personally have less of an excuse, and it's more a matter of educating and weaning myself off of things. I can take responsibility for my own actions. I will take responsibility for what I purchase and support. And if I can help educate or inspire other people to do the same thing, then that is going to slowly grow the movement. And it shows people that it's possible, If one person can do it, then someone else can do it, or another person can do it. Not everyone can, but those of us who can, I feel, have a responsibility to do it, to kind of do what others can't. And I just feel like people use it as a scapegoat. It's like, yeah, okay, so major industries are producing the most pollution and waste, but what is that industry doing? It is making consumables. It is making plastic bottles that you and I drink out of and then become plastic islands in the ocean. Industry doesn't exist simply for industry's sake. It is making things for the billions of people on the planet, and if we can slowly, I would argue probably more quickly, but human psychology will tell you that most people can't cold turkey stuff, myself included. If we can make those changes and make new habits, you can break a bad habit. Took time, willpower. It wasn't easy, but you can take baby steps to wean yourself off of your bad habits and wean yourself onto new, better habits that, yeah, you'll probably learn are not good habits either, but you can then readjust and recalibrate your actions, if that makes sense. I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about me. Question of the week. What steps do you take to reduce your waste? I've given you a few examples of things that I have done. So I'd like to hear your suggestions, because I'm so far away. I want to learn, you guys. Tell me some things that I can do, please. I want to hear your ideas. On next Friday, not this Friday, I'm going to try to do a Friday night video. I want to make this image an actual possibility. It's going to be Earth Day themed. I want her to be like a gypsy. with beautiful galaxy hair, and I wasn't paying attention. We eat out on Fridays, and normally I request that they don't give us a straw. I'm very polite about it because I know, working for the fast food industry, I've worked in not fast food, but I've worked at a restaurant before, and I know how people can get nasty, so I always try to be polite. Normally I say, please, no straw, and if I go in, which is not something we can do now, but normally I reuse my plastic cup, but I wasn't paying attention, and the dude handed me the straws for us. And because of the current health situation, I felt kind of awkward. I knew they couldn't take it back, so I just took it and didn't say anything. It was my mistake, not theirs. They did absolutely nothing wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna try to use this for this piece that I do next Friday. Anyway, I'm gonna go outside and hug a tree. It's drizzling outside, so hopefully no one else has touched the tree for 3 days. I don't think anyone's touched the tree. So I'm gonna go hug a tree. Peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.